losing games and you ain't getting angry and you're laughing and joking and not turning up for training and doing this and doing that. This means so much to me. I can't do this anymore because they're not going to change, you know what I mean? So I needed to go down a different road.
Hey guys, it's producer Ross here and welcome back to another edition of Ross Meets, the series where I catch up with former Town players to talk about their careers from the ups to the downs and everything in between. And here we are, episode 15 of the series so far. 15 different guests. Crazy. Hopefully many more to come. I want to say a big thank you to everybody who has listened to the previous episodes. It's been a pleasure to bring you these guys. And let me know at Ross Media UK on Twitter and Instagram which episode has been your favourite so far. It could be this one. It's time to introduce today's guest, which is former Town midfielder Owen Garvan. What an absolute pleasure it was to speak to Owen about his time at Portland Road and his career as a whole. It's also good to hear what he's up to now, so I hope you guys enjoy it. Let's get right into the episode. I don't want to ramble on as I normally do, so I hope you enjoy it. Let's play that play button. Enjoy, guys. Now, Owen, did you always want to play football? Was that something you always wanted to do?
Yeah, it was. It's funny because I think I've taken football really serious probably since around 10 years old. Yeah. Like too serious probably for like a 10-year-old really. Ever since lads started going away from trial, because over in Ireland, you know, once you hit 10 to 12, a lot of lads start going across to England getting trials with, you know, Man United and Liverpool, and that's when it really kind of took off. The lads are going away and they're coming back and they're telling stories, and I wasn't going away in too many trials really. And the first one I ever, well, I wouldn't say the first one I ever went was Ipswich, and I went on a three, Ipswich, Celtic and Notts Forest were the three I went to. But I kind of just, when I went to Ipswich, I just kind of had a connection there. I liked the place, I liked the training ground, people were very friendly. Obviously I was still very young at the time, but I kind of knew if they offered me a contract, that would be the one I go to. I wouldn't think about it anywhere else. And thankfully, after I think probably the third time of being over in the space of a year or two, they offered me a deal, and that was it. I packed my bags and went over when I was 15. Yeah,
of course. Your father was a big person involved in your career. You know, you're beginning at home farm. You know, what was that sort of like? You know, that's well known for. You know, I've spoken to Shane Supple and some other players who sort of started their career there. How was that for you?
I didn't know any different really, because you know, my dad was my manager since I was 7-8 years old, so I kind of grew up with him. Kind of he never really gave out to me. It was more the other way around. I was the one giving out to him. So that was kind of my personality. Whenever I played football, I was very vocal. I don't know whether people watching the games would probably see that on a Saturday, and I've kind of ever since a young age, I've kind of took that with me, just trying to get the best out of myself and trying to get the best out of the team to kind of win a match. But no, he was obviously, you know, he brought you to the games, he picked the team, and thankfully he picked me in the team, you know. So no, I started off as a striker originally, and then kind of maybe I lacked a bit of pace up front, so I kind of moved back into midfield really.
And how was it going, moving over to England? You know, is that something you definitely wanted to do?
Yeah. Well, a lot of the lads might. We had a very good team as growing up over in Ireland, and I think 10 of them ended up leaving Ireland, going to England and Scotland, and I was a bit younger, even though I was playing in that group. So they all went a year before me, and I got very frustrated because the next team weren't as good, because obviously all the lads, all the better players had left. So as soon as I saw all them going, I was just trying to see out the year, get me across. And I remember them Ipswich was saying, wait till you're 16, and I was like, no, I'll come over now. I want to come over now, and I was keen to get across and try to just improve, because over there you're training every day, while back in Ireland you're only doing a Tuesday and a Thursday night, so you're only training for 2 hours, while over there it's a full-time setup, and that's what I wanted to do.
As I said, I've spoken to a few Irish players before, and I sort of asked them, how was it, you know, coming over to England? You know, did you get homesick, or was it just you knew you wanted to be a footballer and you know you had to sort of ignore that and just crack on?
Yeah, that's it. I actually watched Craig Bellamy kind of on Sky Sports talking about when he went down to Norwich all the way from right from Wales, and he was like felt like he was kind of stuck there because he was it was great when the football kind of like when he was training and all that, but it was hard when you finished training at probably 2-3 o'clock because all the local lads either that lived in Cambridge or London, they could just go home to their families, while I remember staying in a digs with 11 lads, all like little single rooms together. So that was tough. But the football end of it, I absolutely loved. Got into a lot of rows and with a lot of my teammates, with my coaches. But I just thought it was, I wanted to win and I wanted everybody to have the same passion, and I think it kind of, people kind of dragged each other along, especially with that youth team. Obviously having that success, it was great. It was great for the club, and something that I was kind of disappointed that not more of the lads could have went through and been in the first team and stayed in the first team. A lot of lads probably got 10, 15 games and never really stayed there for 5-10 years, and that's probably a disappointment from that team, really.
There's actually another player I spoke to recently, was the captain of that team, Liam Craig, and he spoke about his disappointment of not playing for Ipswich first team, but of course he's gone on to do well for himself in Scotland.
That's it. In fairness to a lot of the lads, they've all gone on and had kind of good careers, most of them, but it was just a pity that not enough of them had it at Ipswich, and with whether it was the manager or whether it wasn't put in place that you should stay with these players. I do think sometimes when young lads come through and if they're not playing in the first team at 18 or 19, people think, oh, well, they're not good enough. Mm-hmm. While some players, if you stick with them for another year or two, they've shown elsewhere they've gone and they've come back and played at the same level. Yeah. So it was just a pity, the circumstances, and a bit of luck in football as well.
Yeah. Talking about the Youth Cup final, you of course missed the second leg, and because you had the infection, being ill. How did that sort of come about, and how were you feeling during that time? Of course, not great because you weren't able to play, but everything.
No, I was in the Ipswich hospital, and I can't remember where was it. In Kesgrave, really. So I just remember listening to the game on the radio, because there was no tellies in the place, and I was just there by myself, and I was just kind of. It's hard to know what's really going on when you listen to the radio, and obviously, the drama of it all, going to extra time, and then towards the end, just hoping the ref would blow the whistle, and obviously I wasn't feeling great myself, but it was great for the other lads, because I saw all the hard work they put in, going on the coach down to beating Tottenham, and obviously playing against that Southampton team in the final. So it was a long road, and all the lads wanted it really, really badly, and thankfully we done enough on the night, and young Ed Upson, I think it was his first minutes in the whole thing. He came on as a young lad and scored the goal, so it was great for him as well.
Do you think that could have been your moment if you not played?
No, because I wasn't a prolific goal scorer. I think I could have helped the team. I was looking at my stats there. I don't think I scored enough goals even in my whole career, and even for Ipswich as well. But obviously I thought I could have helped the team, and it was a tight game, and obviously Southampton, looking back now with the names they had in the team, they've all gone on to have really good careers as well. Yeah.
Then going on to the following season, you got handed your first team debut under Joe Raw. What was Joe like as a manager?
Joe was great for me because he had a lot of experience. He was an older he'd been around the block for so long, and he knew how to go about me. You know what I mean? Just kind of let me get on. He saw me passion. He just kind of threw me in. And I was kind of lucky in a way, because the year before Ipswich didn't get promoted, and they sold a lot of their players. I think Darren Bent went, Tommy Miller went in midfield, somebody else went as well, maybe Chef Kikuchi went as well. So there was a gap opening, and thankfully he saw that I'd done well the year before, and just didn't really have to say much. He just kind of let me get on with. He kind of trusted me as well, and just kind of go ahead and kept me in the team, which is the most important. If a manager picks you on a Saturday, that's what you want, really.
Yeah. What's your memories of your debut? Of course, a 17-year-old lad, you're making a full debut as well. You're not like coming off the bench, you're actually starting in the game.
Yeah, I kind of remember not having a good pre-season and then just kind of think I'll be all right on the day.
Yeah.
So, no, what I remember was I played quite well, and we won the game. I think it might have been 1-0, and maybe got a bit carried away, thinking, all I remember is I think I said to my brother afterwards, top of the table now, we're going to get promoted. That was just funny because I'm only 17, just new to the thing, and obviously I brought back to reality over the next little while, and unfortunate that was the kind of problem with Ipswich. We were the nearly men, really nearly getting into the playoffs, missing out by a point or two on 1 or 2 seasons.
Yeah. What's your memories from that first season? Of course we weren't the greatest position, but for you, your first senior season at a club, how was that?
Yeah, it was just really getting used to professional football, coming up against proper men. I was only 17. I didn't weigh a lot, and I was just kind of remember going to these stadiums that I've never been at, going to like Loftus Road, Experience, Ellen Road as well, all like great grounds to go to, and just trying to feel my way into what professional football is really like. I watched the clip the other day, and I remember thinking, I'm not in a good position here, but I'd only know that a few years later because I was just getting more used to the game, really. But I was glad Joe kept me in the team, and we managed to win enough games, and kind of at that stage we didn't have a lot of money, so kind of mid-table was kind of acceptable, really.
Yeah. Must have been good for you having, like, say, Shane Supple. Of course, he broke through to the first team that season as well and stuff like that. It must have been good.
Yeah, to be honest, all the lads that kind of broke through, they all that year kind of went on and played a few games, especially with Shane. I remember him is making his debut. I think it was Leicester away, might have been an injury, and came on as if he'd been playing for years, and ended up staying in the team because he was vital for the team and the youth team as well. And I was just like, okay, that's him in the team now, so he's done really well.
Yeah. In terms of your first goal for the club, just before we go on to the next season, it was against Southampton, so that must have been a nice little extra thing. Can you remember much from that goal?
Yeah, I can remember again. I'm probably bringing it back to my same brother on my debut. He said, he's like, you scored against a good goalkeeper, and I remember at the time it was Anthony Amy was in the goal, and he was talked about going to really big clubs, and I never scored either. So I think you can tell by the reaction on my face, and big Jason DeVos getting me in a headlock, and me only being 17 years old. So I absolutely loved it, and that was probably the most, the happiest I've been scoring my first goal, because I wasn't one for big celebrations after scoring goal, but the first one was meant a lot to me.
Of course, you went on to score another 2 that season in that game against Leicester, when Shane was playing, and some other, you then scored against Millwall. You actually scored in back-to-back weekends. That must have been great.
Did it? I was trying to figure. I scored 13 goals, but I can only remember 6 of them. So I can't remember the Leicester one there. But the Millwall goal was similar enough. I remember that was a shot from outside the box. So it didn't bring me as much excitement as probably the Southampton game, But probably because maybe the Southampton game might have been under lights on a Tuesday night, so it was a bit more special playing at night time at Portman Road.
Yeah. Then, of course, next season came about, and your former teammate in Jim was appointed manager. What was your first reaction when you found out?
First reaction, I always liked Jim. I loved his passion. He absolutely, the way he played the game, and he was the best player I've ever played with. So obviously coming in as manager, I wasn't too sure, because when somebody else comes in, you don't know what their plans are. But overall, he played me in a lot of games, and he tried to play the game the way he played, which kind of helped me in the fact that he wanted to play football. And I think in his time, again, we were so close one of the seasons. I think a lot of fans I speak to, just they loved coming to the home games when we think we won. We only lost one home game the whole season, and that's what mainly Ipswich fans thought that season was great at home and really, really bad away from home. But yeah, no, yeah, Jim kind of had a successful time, but we just didn't really get there. And he was a good manager, and obviously, unfortunately, left and went on to do well at QPR as well.
Yeah. Of course, it must have been a bit strange, your former skipper and now your manager and stuff. He still played you a lot. That is probably where you played the most under as Jim. I've found one season here you played 43 games. That must have been a good season for you to play that amount of games. You're now getting a bit older, getting a bit stronger, maybe.
Yeah, I didn't know I'd played that amount of games. Yeah, but again, I'm just kind of getting more experienced now because I played a couple more seasons and kind of been to the grounds before and kind of used to the games. And with Jim, obviously, he brought in a couple of good players. Brought Tommy Miller back. Brought Pablo. Pablo was very good for the club as well. So we were starting to build a team, and we were getting a certain style that, on our day, we could beat the best teams in the league, really.
Which sort of players were you really close to during your few under Jim?
As in on the pitch, the more quality we could bring into the club, and it was just kind of frustrating because obviously at the time Ipswich weren't taking over, and we didn't have a lot of money. So a lot of the other clubs up the top, like the Sheffield Uniteds, they were spending a lot of money on a lot of experienced players. Even the lads who were on the bench were all experienced. Some were in the stands. While with us, we just didn't have enough strength and depth, and Jim had to do a lot of wheeling and dealing and bringing players that maybe other clubs didn't really want, really. But again, they proved they've done really well. Pablo was unbelievable at home. He brought in Gio dos Santos, came in on loan at one stage and done really well. And playing alongside Tommy Miller was a great experience as well, because he was always playing the ball around the corner, getting into the box, trying to score goals. I think we kind of linked up well because I kind of stayed more back and kind of tried to spread the play, really.
Yeah. Who was your roommate for the away trips?
No one wanted to room with me. I wouldn't have
Really?
thought, to be honest. No, I wasn't. I kind of very focused. Kind of just go back to I wasn't messing about. Lights off, 10:30 game in the morning.
Okay.
So I'll probably be with Shane probably for most of the time, actually, that we were there. And to be honest, Shane as well, he was a quieter type of guy, no kind of messing about. So and we both came over from Dublin as well, so room for him for most of the time.
Yeah. Then of course Jim got the sack, and then of course a boyhood hero came in, Roy Keane, appointed manager.
Yeah.
Big appointment. What was your first reaction when you found out that news?
Good in the fact that I thought it would bring a lot of publicity to the club. Be more focus on the club, because at that time it wasn't. The media weren't talking about it like Ipswich that much. So I knew with him coming there, maybe he could attract better players. Maybe he could, with Marcus, kind of spend more money and bring in more quality players. But it didn't work out. I don't know how long Roy was there, really, but during the spell there, never really got into any sort of rhythm or any sort of form that we win more than back-to-back games, really. Under his period, it was very, very tough. I think maybe it was the first 17 games at one stage with the team, and they maybe drew 12, 13 of them. So in one way you kind of think, well, we're not, we're in these games, but we're not winning them either, So the team really, really struggled and just didn't get any sort of pattern or play or any kind of momentum under Roy's kind of management.
Yeah. What was it? Can you remember your first sort of chat with him when when he came in? Because did he have any meetings with you guys in terms of this is the plan and stuff? He won his first two sort of dead rubber games, last two games of the season, and then pre-season hit. What did he speak to you in pre-season about his plans for you?
No, not really. To be honest, he didn't really want to get a relationship with individuals, really. I think he kind of saw himself as he's the boss, and kind of you just do your work and I'll just be in the background and just kind of not really say much. I'll just pick the team and then let you kind of get on with it. So I can't really remember having too much of a relationship of myself, how do I improve, what do I do get better, which way the team should play. And that's probably something that I wanted to have, but I learned pretty quick that trying to have a discussion wasn't going to really work, really. So in the end, I think you just have to. I got to stage where you're employed, you get in, you try your best, and you leave, and you don't really get any personal kind of touch really with it. And unfortunately, it just didn't work because we didn't get the right results really.
Yeah. Of course, then you alongside a few other players got transfer listed. You know, do you get told about that, or was that just sort of your agent or something like that just sort of goes, oh, this is happening?
No, to be honest, I think everybody at a football club, are transfer listed.
Yeah.
Transfer listed in the fact that if somebody comes in for a bid, the club can accept it really, and so it was just one of those ones where I remember I had a choice to make on a Thursday. I remember the team was out for the first game of the season with Ipswich, and I was starting in the team for Ipswich for the game on Saturday for the first game of the season. But then Crystal Palace came in on the Thursday, and I had a decision to make I remember going to some of the coaching staff, which weren't Roy Keane's coaching staff, and having the discussion to say, yes, I'm playing for Ipswich on a Saturday, but is my career going to be here in the long run? And I knew from the previous season and kind of working with Roy that I wasn't at any opportunity if things went wrong, I would be the one to blame, or I would be the one out of the team. So I had a choice to make on the Thursday. Do I go and play for Crystal Palace on the Saturday, or do I go and play for Ipswich on the Saturday? And I just felt it would be better for my career if I kind of get out and into a situation where I thought I'd be able to play regularly, and just thought it was better for me really.
I think I read somewhere about you when you made your debut for Ipswich, Jimmy Gilton sort of pointed at your shirt and sort of said, that's you, 10 years, I want you to be here for 10 years and stuff like that. And did you feel you regret that you couldn't do that at the club?
Well, no, because I could have done it because I had a contract to do it.
Yeah,
it's just that sometimes in football, people say you're not loyal and you should stay, but it's very hard to be loyal to a football club where you think, well, I might not be playing every week. I want to play. I want to stay at this football club, but I want to play football as well. So you've got to choose between playing. I know some lads stay at the club for 10 years, but sometimes they might not play. But for me, I never wanted. Whenever I went out this, I want to stay for Ipswich for my career. But then I just thought I'm better off somewhere else, and I think it was the right decision. Looking back now, I wouldn't change it. I thought it was definitely the right decision because going to Crystal Palace, I experienced so many good moments as well.
Before we go on to Crystal Palace, I just want to talk about one game at Ipswich. I posted, I think, a picture of you recently on Instagram. The game against Chelsea. What's your memories of that? Chelsea weren't mucking about that day at Stamford Bridge. Frank Lampard in the middle, Michael Ballack. What's your memories from that game?
My memory was, a few of the lads always put up kind of that photo, and I just remember as soon as that photo was happening, I got cramp in my legs. So that's why I got tackled, because I got cramp. But I remember on the day, thinking we done really well, and I think it was 1-1 with probably 15 minutes to go. We kind of went out there to kind of nothing to lose type of way, and I think we have to hold our hands up, because the two goals that Chelsea scored, they were both free kicks. One was the best free kick I've ever seen, the best goal I've probably ever seen. So you got to hold your hands up and go, listen, can't do anything about it. It's a free kick from 35 yards. And sometimes you got to go, well, listen, that's going to win football games. So obviously disappointing because you're in the FA Cup, and you only have to win probably 5 games to get to the final of the FA Cup. But on that day, 2 free kicks won the game, and they were both one was from a World Cup winner, and one was from the all-time midfielder, top in the Premiership goal scorer for Chelsea. So it was disappointing, but we gave a good account of ourselves.
Yeah. Then you moved to Crystal Palace and came about. George Burley, of course, the legendary town manager here. He then brought you to Palace. What was George like? Was that one of the big things for you? Did you know much about George?
Well, sometimes in football, you've got to look at a manager and think, will I go to this club or will I go to that club? And you kind of think, well, what has the manager been like for the last 20, 30 years? What's his type of style? Will he play you more often or not? And with George, I knew from the get-go that he's going to play a certain style, and more often or not, I'll be in the team. And that's what you want as a footballer. You want a manager to be like, who wants you, who's going to play you every week, So as soon as he came in, and unfortunately, that was the problem on the Thursday. Do I go somewhere where a manager I know wants me and wants to play me every week, or do I kind of stay and a manager might play me one week and not play me next week? And that's why I went with George, and thankfully he wanted me. Crystal Palace didn't have a lot of money at the time, and he tried to play a good brand of football as well. And at that time, Crystal Palace had no money, and we did kind of struggle in the beginning under George, really.
Yeah, of course. I'm looking at the Palace team when you first joined. David Wright joined you there as well during your time there. But then you had Nathaniel Klein, of course, Wilfred Saha, who was progressing through it, and former Town player, and Darren Ambrose was there as well. And George, of course, got sacked. Halfway through his time there, and Douglas Freeman came in.
Yeah, it went for probably different styles, because George had a lot of probably young players but weren't experienced to the Championship, and a bit naive, even with Nathaniel and Wilfred there. They're only coming through, so they're not the players that they probably are now, because they've had a lot more experience. But at that time, we were just losing games, and it was tough, really, and George tried to play a certain way, and we just weren't winning enough games. And then Dougie kind of came in, and Dougie was like, at all costs, we just need to win a few games to kind of build a bit of confidence. And he was more of a structured approach, and then brought in more experienced, older kind of players, and played a very structured way, which helped the younger lads like Wilfred and Yannick came through as well, because from Bristol City he got released there. So it's amazing how you see some people's career not wanted at a club, and then all of a sudden now went on to have great careers.
Yeah, to be fair, like Palace, for me, they've always had a decent team in terms of the squad. I'm looking at different players here and just thinking wow, what they've done in their careers and stuff like that. And then there's another link with a Town player, with Jonathan Parr. He went on to join Town. What's your memories of him? Did you get along with him?
Yeah, Johnny came. I don't know what club he actually came from, or where they kind of got from, but he was a very energetic player. A funny story was that no one knew if he was left-footed or right-footed, and he never knew himself, really. And I always remember a kind of story when we were in the Carling Cup semi-final, where he came to me before the penalty shootout, and he was like, "Well, where should I go?" And I was like, "Listen, just do whatever comes in your head. Do what you want." And he said, "No, I'm going to hit the ball with my right foot to the left corner." And I went, "Yeah, okay. If you're happy with that, fair enough. You keep that, right?" And then I see him go up to the penalty spot. He's taking the penalty with his left foot. Yeah. And then hits it over the bar. So it was mad, because obviously right foot, left foot. He just remember saying I practiced both, so we never really knew, because he predominantly played left back, and I can't remember him playing right back too much for Ipswich either, really. But that was his main position, left back, and he was a fit lad, a very fit lad, and done really well for Crystal Palace. Yeah.
Just another, of course, former player that I mentioned, Darren Ambrose. Of course, did you guys speak much about Ipswich, because you both came through the academy there?
Yeah, we did.
Not at the same time, of course, but yeah.
Yeah, and then Darren was at Ipswich when I was at Ipswich as well. Yeah. He came on loan as well. And it's always kind of funny, because I have Darren now on have him on Instagram.
Yeah.
And he puts up puts up little clips of his career, and he's scoring goals like from outside the box and whipping them in. He must scored unbelievable goals, and then I'm kind of looking at my clips thinking he was a hell of a player. You know what I mean? And he was, every time cutting in on his right foot and just scoring absolute great goals. Really, it's for every club, for Charlton, for Newcastle, for Ipswich and Palace as well.
I know we're talking about a lot of players here, but how good was Saha? Of course, he broke through and he did well for himself. Of course, now he's back at Palace after his spell at United. But how good was he? Up close and in personal and training and stuff.
Yeah, he was very raw as a young kid. You saw already had a lot of ability and 1v1 against players. He was very good, and I was a bit older there, and there was a few other older lads where it kind of have to kind of keep on him, saying, because you see so many young lads at that stage where they have ability and you just don't know whether they're going to fulfill their potential, and that was kind of frustration with him, where it was like, we know he could be so good, but at times he was kind of wouldn't say letting the team down, but not producing what he could on a regular basis. So the first couple of years it was tough, because one day he'd be good, and next day he wouldn't. And obviously now, when the team got promoted, he come in, he's playing more experienced players, kind of helped him out, and he's kind of gone on to the next level, and he's a real fan favourite at Crystal Palace, something that a lot of other bigger clubs are looking at him as well.
Yeah. Then Ian Holloway came in, and of course, he's known, he's got a great character and stuff like that. How was he, as a manager?
Yeah, he's a larger-than-life character, really chatty, bubbly, all the time, and it was just kind of unfortunate, because at that stage, with Dougie, we had a very structured, very experienced, very hard-working team, and everybody, and he kind of came in and he was really bubbly and chatty, and the other lads were like not really bubbly and chatty.
Yeah.
We knew what we wanted to do, we knew how to play, we knew how to win games, and he wanted to change everything by playing really open, expansive football. But all the lads were there, now we play this way and we will win games playing this way. And the transition for him trying to change didn't work, and in the end he said, I'm just going to go back and play the other way, because this way suits you better, you'll win football games, and then tried to change it again, and eventually left because of what he couldn't get his style to work with the group of players we had.
But then in Holloway came in, and of course you won via the playoffs. Of course, you've probably spoke about this multiple times, but what was that experience like, winning the semi-finals and then winning in the final? Of course, you were hoping to do that at Ipswich Town, but unfortunately you weren't able to. But you did it at Palace, and what's your memories from the final?
Memory from the final was, I remember during the game, I remember thinking, we've had so many chances here, second half, just somebody score. That kind of like, we can't keep missing these chances. And I kind of thought, this might not be our day, because I remember Aaron Wilbraham had 3 or 4 great chances, and thinking, come on, you've got to score one of these. And then out of nowhere, obviously Wilf done really well and enticed one of the Watford players to tackle him inside the box, and then Kevin Phillips stepping up. I think he was probably 40 at the time, scoring the win penalty, and was really happy for him, because he said he played 3 playoff finals and lost all 3 of them. Yeah. So this was the first time he won. So it was a great moment, and when we did win it, I don't think anybody really knew how to celebrate, because you're running around the pitch then thinking, where else do we run? Because you can't run into the stands. Yeah. Your family are in there, but. No, it was great. I think I had 30 or so people over, and just kind of like, it was good emotion. I say it was great, better day for them, because there's 30 of them celebrating and in the crowd and jumping and that. And while for me, it was a hot day. I remember thinking, the playoff finals always seem to be the hottest day ever. I preferred playing in the rain with a bit of zip on the ball, but again, it was all about winning. You want to go there, and you want to lift the trophy, and that's what we did, really.
How was it playing at Wembley? I've got 82,000 fans in attendance. That must have been a great experience for you as a player. Like, this is what you set out to do, is play in front of big crowds and get this to the stage.
Yeah, it was. And then it's very funny because when you're in the tunnel, or people say, "Oh, players don't get nervous." No, but I could sense both teams were nervous. Both teams didn't want to make a mistake, and that's coming from lads who have played careers in front now and playing 30,000. But when even going up to Wembley, bigger stadium, more people watching, there was a lot of nerves, and that's why it took us till the second half to kind of, we kind of let loose and we played better, and that's eventually got over that really. But it was a great day. That's what you get into football for, to play these big games and win the big games.
Must have been great for yourself as a player. Now you're in the Premier League, and did you get told anything about your role for the next season in terms of of course they're going to strengthen the squad and stuff, but No,
I remember kind of going in because I wasn't happy. It wasn't just me. I wasn't happy with the discipline of some of the players in the team.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously not turning up to training obviously is something that you can't really have at football clubs. And I got told I'd play 50% of the games next season. So, which I don't know how managers work that out, that you play 50% of the games. But that's what I was told. And obviously after the first two games, I kind of went in to see the manager and said, listen, like, we need more discipline in the group. We need lads. Not enough of the new lads turned up for the training in the afternoon, and he disagreed. He thought they didn't have to turn up. I don't know, for whatever reason he thought that some players had to train them more and some players didn't. And then we just had a big row because I thought that was kind of unacceptable really for a professional club, especially in the Premier League. Yeah. And he didn't, and then he said, that's it, you're cut really. And yeah. that was it. That was it. It came to an abrupt end really then.
Yeah. Was that Ian Holloway or Tony Pulis?
Yeah, okay. Ian Holloway, yeah.
Then of course Tony Pulis came in, and did you have of course you went out on loan after that, but did you have much interaction with him?
Yeah, he because of the way the rules were, Tony said, listen, I'm not able to play you because the last manager cut you from the 25-man squad in the Premier League. So he said, listen, you've got to go out and loan because I'm not able to play you because they're the rules. So I was like, either do I sit there and know that a manager, even if he wanted to play me, even if I score 20 goals in the reserves, he can't play me, or do I go out and try and play some games? And in the end, begrudgingly after a little while, I thought, I better go out and get my name back out there and try to play some football again.
Of course, you joined Millwall, and a familiar face brought you there.
Yeah, when he left Crystal Palace, he held a meeting. He apologised to me in front of everybody. He said I was completely right, that people should be training in the afternoon, which didn't really mean a lot to me because I missed the chance to play in the Premier League, something I wanted from a young age. But then, obviously he apologised and he rang and said, listen, I've got the Millwall job, will you come with me? And, we'll put that behind us. And I didn't really, Millwall was just around the corner. I still could stay in the same place. So I kind of begrudgingly went. I didn't really want to go, but I thought it was good for me to get back and playing in the stadium and playing championship football, and so I went there.
I've just got the squad up. You're reuniting with Liam Trotter, and Ed was there as well.
Yeah, Liam Trotter. Yeah, Liam was one of the lads in the U team. He kind of progressed later in his career. Mm-hmm. And went on to do really well for himself, and obviously at Millwall as well, he done really well. And same with Ed. He had to go down the leagues and come back up, and they all kind of went around the country to make a living for themselves.
And you had another loan spell, this time brief, but under another former manager in Dougie, Bolton. How does that? That must have been a weird thing going all the way up to Bolton. You've stayed around this sort of the London area and Suffolk and stuff, but now moving up to Bolton, what was that like?
Yeah, I thought it'd be good for me because Dougie when he was at Chris, when we had that really good run in the championship, he played me in a different role, something that I hadn't been used to, and the team were winning. So he said, "Yeah, come up." At the time, Bolton were kind of struggling as well. And he just said, "Listen, I need to get a few players in," and I said, "Yeah." I was back at Crystal Palace again, not able to play because of the rules. I was like, "Yeah, I'll come up," and Bolton were struggling at the time, and I think I only probably played maybe 2-3 games, and then Dougie left, so that was kind of disappointing, and then I decided I had an injury in my knee, so I had to get surgery and that was the end of that season, really.
I think you briefly popped up playing, I think, training with Town again under Mick McCarthy. Was there anything at all going to happen there? Do you reckon, or was it just more?
Yeah, I actually thought about it was I probably should have. He gave me the option to go on loan for 3 or 6 months because I was training,
Mm-hmm.
and he said, but if I had my chance again, looking back at it now, I kind of thought, well, I've got 2 years left. I'm coming from a Premiership club. Surely you should want to sign me, really. That was my attitude at the time. I was like, you should sign me on a regular, and I wanted a regular contract. And he said, "Oh, we can have you. I'll bring you along for 3 months or 6 months." And which I probably should have said, "Yeah, I'll go." But at the time, I kind of thought, "No, you're not really committed to me." I didn't feel like it was that. But now, looking back, it was a regret. I should have gone there for 3 months and played.
Yeah. Then the next move, of course, was at Colchester. Once again close by. Tony Humes is the manager there. I think he was one of your coaches back at Town. I think back in the day.
Yeah, Tony, I knew him well. He's a really nice guy, and he was with the youth team there as well. And he got the Colchester job. And I at that stage, I was kind of struggling. Not a lot of clubs were coming in for me at that stage. Every option I was kind of getting was abroad. And I was like, well, I've never been, America or Australia, all these places. And I was just like, I didn't want to go, to be honest. Yeah. I wanted to stay in England. And then, I remember looking at a lot of the players who were out of contract, and I was thinking, these players have had better careers for me, and none of these get clubs. So I kind of bit the bullet and just again kind of said, right, Tony, listen, I'll come. And play for a while, and I actually getting back playing and just kind of getting back in the pitch, and it was really good, and I really enjoyed the first 6 months under because the team were doing well. I was playing regularly again for that time, and I knew was the first team on the first name team sheet, and I really enjoyed the first 6 months.
Yeah, of course, linking up with Darren again. Darren Ambrose is there as well. He was, of course, at the end of his career and stuff.
Yeah, Darren was playing there as well, and Darren always had that ability where set pieces and scoring good goals. So it was good to kind of meet up with him again. Yeah.
Were you a captain at Colchester? I think you were.
Yeah, I was captain for a little bit. Yeah, and then things were going really well. I remember, I think we were 7th in the table, and I signed a new contract, and I got injured the next day.
Oh.
And then came back and we were fighting relegation and ended up getting relegated that year we're going to get promoted, signed a new deal, got injured, and then I came back and played probably the last 7 or 8 games maybe, but just it didn't work out. The team went on an awful run of form.
Must be difficult for you guys, at that stage. Tony left, and then I've got the list of the different managers or different interim and caretakers in. I don't think the club actually properly appointed anybody. It was just more of the under-23s coaches or the reserve coaches sort of given the caretaker role. I think Kevin Keane or something. He got the job and stuff like that. But that must be hard for you as a experienced player.
It was hard because you kind of look when I went there, and then coaches have, had no money, and they were trying to bring in young lads that have never played in the football league and weren't good enough to play in the football league. So you're always fighting, and they were never going to go out and spend any money because they didn't have the revenue, and the chairman wasn't putting in the money. So it was you had to have a really great manager working miracles to do really well with the squad we had, and that was kind of the real kind of frustration you're dealing with. Majority of the team were under 20 years old. You had the older me and Darren and Chris Porter, but under that, a lot of young lads, and it was hard because they were trying to make a career for themselves, and a lot of them didn't. A lot of them are falling out of the game now, really.
Of course, you were saying when you were a kid, 17-year-old, you didn't have all the social media and phones, but, of course now, 10 years later, phones and technology is a massive thing in football now, and social media, so you must have saw that a lot in the dressing rooms, people doing videos and selfies and stuff like that, and it must be a bit difficult for you.
Well, to be honest, not really when we were in the football. I don't mind doing it outside of football, but in fairness to Colchester as well, they had a policy of no phones in the building.
Okay, that's good.
Which was good, and it's hard to say that's but obviously they were young kids as well, so it was good for them as well. But again, I just don't think enough of them spent time on the train. After training, a lot of them went home early, and weren't training and showing the coaches, listen, I want to be a player. And I always remember there was only one player who wanted to be. He was an Ipswich player now, which was Kane Vincent Young.
Yeah.
But he was the one that I always knew he wanted it the most. I don't know how far he's going to go and what level he's going to get, but I always felt he's going to make a career in the game. It's just a bit of luck and how high he can go. And at the moment, thankfully, he got his move to Ipswich, and I still, have a few people here go to the games and say, listen, he's done really well. He had a bit of an injury, I think.
He did, yeah.
So. And it was and as well, me and a few of the academy lads we were planning to get over a few weeks before the last game of the season. We were saying we'll go over and watch Ipswich, hopefully be in the playoffs, and just unfortunately, every week we're looking at them going, don't think we're going to get this playoffs at the moment. So it was because, they started off so well, but slid down the table the last little while before this all kicked off.
Yeah. Have you gone back to watching Ipswich games since you sort of, when you were at Colchester, did you go and watch any games or anything?
Yeah, I went to one or two games, and it was just unfortunate because I remember when I was breaking in, I think the tendency was maybe 23,000, and the side were, the top half of the table really, and now kind of going back when you're kind of maybe in League One, it kind of felt a lot different to the time when I was there. And I always think Ipswich is a club where it's gone a long time without success, really. And I'm waiting for that success to kind of come back, and when it does, it'd be great. But at the moment, it hasn't happened, and we're looking forward to it. I always think big clubs, the success comes back around more often than not. Same with Leeds as well. I'm always thinking Leeds are going to get promoted soon. They'll be back in the big time. And same with Ipswich. I just hope it goes that way for them.
Yeah. Then your time at Colchester, of course, came to an end. And did you at that stage you just felt you fell out of love with the football? I've spoken to a few other players about just is a moment in your life and your career. You just go, I just don't want to do this anymore. This is what you wanted to do all your life, but you just.
I wanted to do it, but I had to, again, sometimes I got to weigh up things, as in, you're putting so much sacrifice into this, yet you're with other lads who aren't putting as much sacrifice, and you can't see the hunger and desire in them. And football's a team sport. If you don't have other lads with you and you're trying, then you're not going to be successful. And in a team sport, you want to be successful. And if I didn't think I was going to be successful, or I wasn't in a group, I I was like, well, what I'm missing out on a lot of things. I've been away from my family and all that for a long time, so I just kind of thought at that stage I didn't see enough from the people around me to warrant me staying there, really.
Yeah. Because it must be the bad thing about getting relegated. That must have affected you a little bit as well. Just being part of a team getting relegated to League Two, and now you're playing League Two football. No respect to League Two, but you must be thinking I'm not being arrogant or anything, but I'm better than this, really.
Yeah, I always thought, I can play in a higher level, and you've seen a lot of players over their careers that maybe started off Premiership and then ended up going down the leagues and then making their way back up, and had a sustained period of time in League One and League Two, and then having a good career 30, 31, and I just remember thinking at that stage, I don't know whether I can stay here for 2-3 years, and that success might never happen again anyway. So it was again thinking, do I dig in for a long time? And I didn't. I didn't, and I didn't know whether it was going to come back around. And I just thought I'd been over there 12 years at this stage, so I just thought, no, I better off coming home.
So when you sort of left Colchester, did you go straight back home, or did you sort of stick around and maybe see if you can find another club somewhere, or did you just feel...
No, went straight. No, that was it. I was halfway during the season. I remember just thinking, no, again, I still get people to this day ringing me saying, do you want to play in Australia? And I said, I haven't kicked the ball in 3 years. I was like, yeah, but you can still do a job. And I was like, have you seen me? You haven't literally kicked the ball for a while. And that's what people were saying to me. Listen, I've got this club, I've got that club. And I was just thinking, well, it's not in me at the moment. Do you know what I mean? I didn't have it in me to kind of go again, because I knew that I'd be with other players who didn't want it as much as me, and that really annoyed me, really.
Yeah. I remember when I was a big fan of you when you coming through, and when you joined Colchester, and then I was like thinking, wow, you're at Colchester now. I thought, hopefully you'll progress through, come back up the leagues. And then I remember seeing you left there for personal reasons. I was thinking, oh, what was going on there? And then of course you rocked up playing back in Ireland and stuff like that. In terms of where your mental health and stuff, were you all okay that sort of wise, or did you just feel like you just wanted to go home, you just fell out of love?
Well, yeah, it was just the frustration. That was it. The absolute frustration that when I play football and I look at other footballers, like all the footballers that I kind of like loved, but I don't know them as people. I just seen them on the telly. Obviously Jim Magilton was. I loved the way his attitude towards the game, how passionate he was. Whenever you watch Craig Bellamy, his type of attitude on the pitch. When you watch Suarez, now I don't agree with everything Suarez does, or Diego Costa, but they're the kind of people where I think, even though they're outright, some things they do are out of order, but you can see they're fully committed to what they're doing, and they're all in type of way, and they're the people I kind of wanted to be surrounded with. And when I was with another team, I couldn't see that in anybody else, and that really annoyed me and frustrated. Think we're losing games and you ain't getting angry, and you're laughing and joking and not turning up for training and doing this and doing that. And that was the main thing. Thinking this means so much to me, and it's affecting me so much that I thought, I can't do this anymore because they're not going to change. You know what I mean? So I needed to go down a different road.
Then, of course, as I said, you came back to Ireland and played for Set Pats. Was that more just to keep fitness and just to play with,
No, at the time I thought again, maybe the lads back here, and it's the same frustrations kind of happened again. I enjoyed it for a little bit, and then kind of thought, again, I need these with these lads. Some of them were like, I'm just here for the pay packet, I just want to get my money and go home. And then they're telling you that, and you're the teammate, and you're thinking, well, I don't. You know what I mean? And then I can't do anything about it. I'm not the manager. I can't pick the team. I can't tell who should be playing, who you should get rid of, because you're a player at the time, and that's not your job, really. So in the end, there again, I kind of thought I'm again kind of surrounded. Probably being too lucky, kind of playing it, if you've been with really, really good pros that that's what I expected from everybody. And unfortunately, when you kind of go down the leagues, you see things differently.
You retired at 29, and you spoke to one of my colleagues about I know what you're up to now, but people who are listening who don't know what you're up to, in those years, what was your plan? What did you want to sort of do?
What after football?
Yeah.
Well, I think everybody kind of has thoughts, and people say, will you go into coaching, will you go into management? And I've always it's always been in my head, and you always like the pros and cons, and I do a little bit of coaching with some kids at some stage, but at the moment I just think I think my frustration with other people trying to get the best out, and not seeing them work hard would get to me too much, because I know I'd put in the hours and I'd put in the scout, and if the players didn't do the same, my emotions will get too much for me. So I've kind of only done it with kids at the moment, young kids, because you can see 8, 9 years old, they're just out, they just enjoy the game, and just doing that more for like enjoyment rather than doing it at a professional stage. So no, that's it really. Just do that the odd time if one of my friends says, listen, yeah, help me out, but nothing too serious at the moment.
What are you up to nowadays? What's keeping you?
Oh well, the family business was always in insurance. My dad set up something 40 years ago, and 2 of my brothers worked there. And when he came home, he was like, I think it is hard, because people expect, like you've played football, and I'm thinking, well, you've got to do something. You're 29 years old. People just expect you not to do anything. So, and you don't want to be just sitting at home doing nothing, because I've seen a lot of players struggle after their careers, and they're like, I just sat home and played Xbox. And I said, well, you can't really do that every day. So you have to go out into the world and get a job. And and luckily enough, there was a job there with the family, and I was with my family that I hadn't seen for 12 years as well. So. And it keeps you busy, keeps you occupied, and and that's what I do. And it was tough in the beginning, because you're going from playing in big stadiums and having a lot of adrenaline, and then you're kind of then going to a 9 to 5. But that kind of eases over time, really.
What did you what was the conversation? I know it's personal to you, but with your dad, speaking to your dad about it, you must have had a chat with him about retiring and stuff like that. You must have
Yeah, no, he said him and the mother kind of was like, we enjoyed watching the games. He'll play for another 10 years.
Yeah.
I don't think it was anything to do with me, enjoying it. It was more like he enjoyed the day out and going and watching the games and meeting up with old pals and getting the flight over and doing everything. Even now he still thinks I should play. And it's a bit kind of like, I've had my time.
Yeah.
But now he said, listen, if you want to come and work with the family, then keep yourself busy, and that's what I did.
I'll try to bring your age up. You're 32 now, so what's the plans for yourself in the next few years? Just continue.
No, very, very much the same. Very low key. I think people say they miss the excitement of football. Where do you get the adrenaline and excitement from? And I've been lucky in that way, because some people never have got that, adrenaline of coming out at 3 o'clock when the music's going and you're winning football games, and the odd time you think, I would want that back, but your career has to end at some stage. So at the moment, it's just going to be just working away with the family and enjoying time with them, really.
Perfect. Well, Owen, thank you very much for your time. I don't want to take too much more of your time, your evening, but that was fantastic. It was great chatting to you, mate.
Yeah, good man. All right, see you, Ross.
See you later. Have a good one.
Right, bye.
From true crime to football, Brexit to folklore. For more great podcasts from Archon, head to audioboom.com/channel/Archon.